Hello, and welcome to Dream Warrior Group's second episode of Art Marketers. My name is Alex, and I'll be hosting today's show. We're going to be welcoming Nami, who is the CTO of Dream Warrior Group. Welcome, Nami. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Alex?
Fantastic. Can't complain. It's another day in paradise. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do with Dream Warrior Group?
Well, I'm the Chief Technology Officer. I've been on the internet since the 80s, and I've been on the web since 94. Um, I have quite extensive experience with technology, and I started the company just to make sure that I be in the forefront of web.
Excellent. Now, I know from some of the background that I've heard about you that you have a good background in CMS. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, content management system is to manage content and make sure that your content is easy to distribute on the web and everywhere. So in the mid 90s, about 95, when I created Net for the People, my first content management system, uh, people really didn't know why they needed dynamic content. uh, I did it because I liked it and I wanted my site to have a dynamic content. But because of that, in early 2000, a theater called us in to do an assessment of their content. And that is when I discovered that the content management system has to be implemented for any kind of art organization because they need it.
Now, speaking of art, last week LeMay was mentioning ARTdynamix. And I know it's definitely not new, but there is kind of an upcoming new ARTdynamix SaaS. You want to tell me a little bit about the new SaaS that you guys are coming up with?
Yeah, we have taken most of our hundred some odd plugins and we have made it so that um, smaller organizations can basically have access to all the power of Art Dynamics, but they can have it at a low price, low monthly price without having to stress financially or have a big upfront payment and be able to utilize that to improve their marketing, improve their visibility, and overall improve the looks of their site.
I know 100%. Now, I know that there's quite a few other CMSs like WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, but oftentimes people don't realize how many extra plugins or, extra components that WordPress requires or the limited functionality of Squarespace. How would you say Art Dynamics differs from these other CMSs?
So, for example, say you're using something like AV Pro and you have a ticketing system and you want to enter the information into your ticketing system and have it show up nicely on the web. So our system talks to Audience View Pro directly, picks up that data after you have entered it, and displays it exactly as you want it, as beautifully as you want it, without you having to re-enter or do any additional work or additional entry. And to top that, our system allows you to market that much more easily on the web. You can add your reviews directly there. You can add your actors and in the information, their bios. And if you enter the actor once, then if you want to use it again for another show, you don't have to enter it again. This is not Squarespace where everything is content. We are holding this data for you so you can reuse it infinite number of times.
Now that's awesome to hear. I'm curious, is this an extra cost or is this an add-on feature? Is this included in the subscription?
This is the basic part of the subscription. All of these things come to you as a basic subscription, and then if you want to do more, there's a lot more tools that you can use, like using the structured data or marketing automation. Those are additional, but you still can use them in our system and promote yourself even further so that Google can find you better and easier.
Now, tell me a little bit more about structured data and why that's important.
Okay, structured data is a programming means of displaying the data that is entailed in your pages. Instead of Google treating your site as or page as a piece of content and try to place it in the Google search engine as a content, it will look at that data structure at the bottom that the programmer has added and will say, ah, this is about a show and there is an event. The event is tonight. The cost is $80. And immediately that shows up in the Google events. And if somebody is looking up, I want a show near me, Google will display that. If it's content only like WordPress does, then you won't get that advantage.
That's interesting. Now, in terms of not having as many advantages, or just in terms of general challenges that you've noticed marketing managers face, what kind of challenges exist for marketing managers who have events websites?
Time. Time is a big one because usually the marketing manager has to put up their season, they have to put out their shows, they have to um, promote the shows and make sure that these shows show up. They have to talk to the different ticketing agencies, they have to put up their press releases, they have to put the reviews in. All of that they have to do separately in different places. In our system, you just log in and you go in there and it says reviews. Okay, type in the reviews and you attach it to the show. Done. Press release, same thing. You upload it. Now, if you have a deal with Cision or with PR Newswire or pressrelease.com, you put in your username and password, and it will send it to them, and they will display it also. So you don't have to do the job twice. And while with WordPress or any other one of these, I don't know any other actually CMS that does this for you automatically.
That's interesting. So definitely saving time because, whenever you're wearing many hats and having to do all sorts of tasks, being able to save time is so crucial, so important for you to be efficient. So it sounds like Art Dynamics kind of solves a lot of those issues for people who are within this arts industry. That's really exciting to hear.
And the way we save time, it allows you to market better, be a better marketer. It is not just you have time, you're saving time so you can have another cup of coffee. It is actually allowing you to be a better marketer, to promote yourself in more places, use marketing automation right out of the box without having to learn um, hundreds of different things. It will help you to set up your marketing. We help you set up your marketing automation, and it runs, and you can utilize it inside ARTdynamix.
No, that's an excellent point. Can you mention any of the notable clients who are already currently using Art Dynamics?
Oh yeah, the Broad Stage is one of them. Wallace Annenberg, Bank of America um, uh, Center for Arts is another one. Los Angeles Master Chorale. We have the Lincoln Center over at Fort Collins. Maui Arts. If you're ever gonna go to Maui, it's a beautiful place.
Wow, it sounds like
uh,
you guys have
there,
quite a list. It's a pretty big list about here.
Yeah, and that list is on our website, and you can go and look at all the different clients that we have had we have right now, and many of at least two separate organizations that deal with the presidential foundations have used our system to organize their data uh, for the web in the past, and that has been their launching pad to be able to do a better job with their website.
Interesting. Now, can you explain to me a little bit more about why it's important to have a dynamic website?
Yeah, your if your content doesn't change say a Google bot comes and sees your site. It comes back in 1 week because you told it so in your code. It comes back in 1 week. The content is not changed still. Then it comes back in 2 weeks. The content is not changed. It comes back in a month. If the content is still not changed, it might come back in 3 months. The less often Google visits you, the less likelihood of the chance of you going up in search engine. And if your content is dynamic, it means that your Google visits you more often, it picks up the content more often, and you have the better chance of going up in the search engines and being found.
Of course, and obviously we want to be on that first page because, as most people know, I don't know really anyone who goes to that second page or, goes beyond the first few searches. So it's so important to try to rank up high. Now we're going to be closing out pretty soon, but before we sign off, as a CTO, what kind of advice would you give to any marketers?
Please, please remember, while we were in COVID and doing nothing, Google was very busy. Your your structured data has become so much more important, and you need to start developing structures for your snippets. And please, if you don't want to use ARTdynamix, at least implement it in your site. So if somebody looks up the name of your organization, 6 different ticketing companies that have bought ad don't show up before your organization. You will show up on the right-hand side if your snippet is there, and you will beat those ticketing companies that try to buy the ad.
Ah, interesting. That's some good advice. Always good to know how to beat the competition, right?
Yeah,
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day, Nami. We're signing off
you
from Art
do.
Marketers.